I'm Shahar Azani, and in the news, a changed Middle East through the power of women. Last week, we spoke to the Honorable Jason Greenblatt, and we heard of the great hope that was in the heart of the Abraham Accords, which not only filters all the way down to the individual level, but is also a continuous and inspirational endeavor. Efforts in this direction, as we said, are ongoing, and not just from high above at the level of government and diplomatic circles. Today, we want to share with you one such inspirational endeavor. Dove's Women Making Peace is an organization focused on women building bridges between people. The Dove's International Peace Conference is scheduled to take place April 30th through May 1st in Tel Aviv. It is open to high-level women who can use their influence to teach others in their own countries the lessons they learn at the programs and promote peace and understanding between nations. With us to tell us more about these wonderful endeavors is Dove's founder and executive director, Valerie Leiser Greenfeld. For the past decade, Valerie has assisted Israeli and American companies in efforts of business development with strategies for funding, marketing, sales, and communications. She is the founder and executive director of Dove's, a non-profit organization seeking to bring women from around the world together to promote education, business, peace and security in the Middle East. She's and often speaks at conferences in Dubai, travels to the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain. Previously, Ms. Greenfeld consulted in Washington, D.C. for organizations such as the Dr. Henry Kissinger Center for Strategic and International Studies, the Reagan White House Office of Legislative Affairs, and the Honeywell Corporation Public Affairs. Among her many avenues of operation, Ms. Greenfeld also served as a fellow at the Institute for the Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy, our friends at ISGAP. Valerie, thank you so much for joining us on JBS today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you are actually speaking to us all the way from Jerusalem.
Yes.
So
yes.
What brought you to Jerusalem? Tell us a little bit about your personal history.
It's interesting. I made Aliyah 2 years ago today. So
wow,
this is
Mazel Tov. Anniversary. We get to celebrate your anniversary.
Yes, thank you very much. So since I was 9 years old, I wanted to make Aliyah. And I had the opportunity to go to school at Tel Aviv University for a semester. I wanted to stay, but it wasn't good for my parents, of course.
Right.
And so then later I moved to Washington, D.C. to work in the political realm and got married and had children. So that wasn't going to work moving here. And now my youngest son is 19 and he's in college.
Wow.
And so I figured this was a window that was going to close if I didn't move right away. So here I am in the Holy Land, and I'm
You decided to take that move. Let me ask you about your political career. What attracted you to politics to begin with?
I guess it's similar to why I started Doves.
Exactly.
Is that I want to make a difference.
Right.
I want to help people come together and create a safe space to have conversations and talk about what we can do to make things better in different areas. And in Washington, I worked in the security area. I worked for Honeywell, and I worked on Capitol Hill, and as you said, all of the long resume. So I guess the idea is the same for politics and for
nonprofit. to make a difference. And may I ask, when did you make Aliyah?
2 years ago today.
2 years ago. So if 2 years ago today you made Aliyah, was your intention to just make Aliyah to Israel and stay in Israel, or were you aiming to begin with at playing a part in these regional changes? Because 2 years ago was the height right after the Abraham Accords were signed. There was optimism in the air. There still is very much of that. There is a lot of excitement, just like we heard from Jason Greenblatt. So what propelled you? Was there an immediate catalyst, or what did you have in mind?
So originally, I was working with the startups from the United States, going back and forth, living primarily there. And so my intention was just to do the reverse and live primarily here, but continue the same work. But because of the Abraham Accords, I was so thrilled with the opportunity as a Jewish woman to go to the UAE and Dubai and Abu Dhabi and speak with the leadership there and speak with the business people. And so that opened up a whole new opportunity to do business in all of the Abraham Accord countries.
Right. So the power of women in general is a significant force in society and politics, as we're seeing in various places around the world. And I do believe we should see much more of it. I am a major fan of that power, both from home and beyond. But I want to ask you, I couldn't help but noticing before that you have a beautiful painting of the late Golda Meir in your home, in your living room. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. What does Golda mean to you? What does she symbolize, and how does she affect what you do today?
Thank you. Yes, so Golda has always been someone that I've admired. I don't necessarily agree with her political agenda, but who she was as a person and the fact that she gave all of herself to the state of Israel to make it safe and to work for women's rights was one of the main things that she did. It means a lot to me. She was really a leader, one of the first leaders in the Middle East for sure, to run a country. So right. She's a glass ceiling breaker, and I'm hoping for many more like her.
You know, it's incredible that you're mentioning it, because you really are following in her footsteps. You mentioned working for human rights. You know, Valerie, one of the very little known facts about the late Golda Meir was that she, with her vision, was the one who established Israel's international aid mechanism within the Israeli Foreign Ministry, which she did at the beginning of the 50s in her capacity as foreign minister. Already thinking to herself, imagine this, as Israel is struggling for its very existence, trying to get weapons to defend itself from all of our enemies around. And here is Golda Meir thinking to herself, what can I do to be an equitable member in the family of nations and help others in building those long-term relationships, which is quite incredible, hence me being a fan. So you being able to mention that and having that knowledge is incredible, which I'm happy to, of course, share with the viewers who've heard it many a time on JBS. So in your work, you started in the private sector and connected startups, with other companies in the US and the world. And then here you are, a Jewish woman starting to travel, may I ask, on your own in Arab states and in the Gulf?
Yes, and I've had no problems.
So no, I have to ask you. I'll push on that. Nobody told you, and like before you go, your kids, your husband, anyone, family, don't they tell you, Mom, you can't go. It's so risky. You're going to go on your own. You're Jewish. Weren't you?
I knew I was going to go anyway.
Okay, fair enough.
It's my personality. I think the region has opened doors for women, and our time is really right now. The countries, UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and now Sudan. Now that their government is becoming more stable,
right?
They're really welcoming us with open arms. They want the technology that the Israelis have invented. They need it, and they want to move forward in partnership and peace. And it's actually an incredible time of opportunity. Right now.
So let me just understand this. You decide you're going to go, and you just go. You just land there, and what did it feel like?
Well, you're giving me too much credit. I went on a mission. It was a diplomatic mission with the Republican Jewish Coalition. And you'd mentioned Jason Greenblatt, and he is part of our board.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, he's amazing. And so I went 2 years ago, no, it's 2.5, 3 years ago already, to one of the very first missions to Saudi Arabia and the UAE.
Wow.
With the RJC. And so they opened the doors. And while I was there, I was able to meet, higher ups and in business and in government in both countries. And they were incredibly welcoming. They even flew in kosher food for our group, which was unbelievable.
Wow.
And they were very cognizant about our religion, which I thought was really special. It's something
Jason
that,
also mentioned, moving around with his son, with the yarmulke, being able to observe
yes.
Shabbat, people coming up, approaching him positively, which is quite impressive. So, and what's really telling is the fact that you were able to establish such a relationship with them, that beyond that first mission that you had with the RJC, you go back there and you're able to leverage those connections and do more.
Thank you. Well, actually, while I was there, I've had so many conferences, as most people have, and you get home and you have all these cards and you write everybody, and half the time nobody writes you back.
Right.
So I was like, I don't want to waste this opportunity. So I made the appointments right there while I was still in the room. I said, I'm coming back here in 3 weeks. I'd like to make an appointment right now. And because I live in Israel, it's easy for me. I'm not having to come all the way from the United States. So this way I can represent other companies from the US or wherever because of the proximity.
That's incredible. You see, this is a great message for you, our viewers, just to see how it's done. She's not waiting to email after coming back. She's already setting up. That's very impressive, Valerie. And you're saying you found an open door in the Arab world for your endeavors.
Very much so.
What did you feel was their sentiment about you, about Jews, about Israel?
I found that they were very open and respectful. And I wasn't really sure what to expect when I went. I wasn't sure if women, as a businesswoman, if I would be accepted.
Right.
But I found that, especially in Saudi Arabia, the MBS, the Crown Prince, he really wants to open up his society because he knows
Mohammed bin Salman, right?
Yes, Mohammed bin Salman. He wants to open up his country to women because he's got a brain drain for many years. The smart women are going to the Ivy League schools in the UK and the US, and they're not coming back. And he knows that he's losing 50% of his population. So the best thing for him to do is include women in the country as well as those coming from other countries. And I think he's been very, very smart in his strategies.
Wow. So then what did you hear behind closed doors about Israel? Like, what did you hear? Were they asking questions? It's at the beginning when the relations are just, getting warmed up. What kind of questions or reactions did you get to the state of Israel and to your efforts?
We did talk about pretty much anything. I was actually very surprised how open they were with us,
right,
and how they wanted to hear whatever we had to say. They were willing to listen. And I felt the same. It was really a very reciprocal kind of discussion. And they are consumers as well. They want the best technologies in the world. And if they happen to come from Israel, if they're working with Jewish people, didn't seem to matter at all. They're wanting to save their economy.
And getting to know each other by the way. You know what attracted me most when I read about your incredible story and the conference and Doves was the ability to translate international mechanisms of diplomacy and relate to it as an individual. You came up and said, here I am, I'm Valerie, that's what I do, and here is how I can connect my private, personal world into deepening the relations in the region between the state of Israel and its Arab neighbors. And that's not a given, Valerie. A lot of people would just stay in their lane, as they say, and just continue doing business. And you decided to go ahead and establish Doves. When did you do so, and why did you decide to do it?
Actually, I woke up in the middle of the night and said, I have to start some organization. And I was thinking, this is a dream. Where did this come from? And then I realized if I go back to sleep at 2:30 in the morning, I'm going to wake up and say, what was that thing I was thinking about? So I wrote the mission statement right then and there. And I started organizing my thoughts about what is it that this organization should do. So I didn't have a plan. It came to me. And then because I had been traveling through the Abraham Accord countries, I started making friends, the people that I was thinking of doing business with. I invited those women to be a part of the founders and to be a part of the board. And pretty soon we had an amazing high-level business women and entrepreneurs and diplomats and of every level, educators, philanthropists, you name it. And now we have a wonderful group of women that really want to exchange ideas and find ways to make positive change.
How did you make those connections with the other women who are involved with Doves?
So some of them were from going to conferences like the RJC, like the Jerusalem Post conference that was in Marrakesh.
Right.
And then while I was in Marrakesh, I looked at where's the Jewish community. Mostly it's in Casablanca. So I went to Casablanca and I met women there. So it's all part of the business that I had been doing. I was asked to speak at a conference in Dubai. So I met women there, and it's just we started a big WhatsApp group, and everybody's talking to each other, and it's truly amazing.
Wow, that's an incredible endeavor and very notable. One of the headlines about you read, out of the Abraham Accords were born the Sarah Accords, which I really loved. Tell us a little bit about the conference itself, planned in Tel Aviv for April 30th to May 1st.
Yes, so it'll be an evening, break the ice, the 30th of April, and a dinner, and then the whole day will be fully packed with amazing women from around the region. And yesterday I met on WhatsApp 4 women from Albania that want to come, which is
Wow.
amazing to me. One of our panelists, Joy Rothenberg, who's also a founder, her family is from Sudan. And so she just was in Sudan last week meeting with the Sudanese president and the entrepreneurs there. And so she's going to talk about her family growing up there, what is Sudan like, and then of course what is the future of the relationship between Israel and Sudan.
Wow. And
So we have members of Knesset that will be speaking, the foreign ministry. There's a woman. Her name is
a senior diplomat at the ministry who is maybe
thank
part,
you, a senior diplomat in the Tanya is her name,
right?
and her title is Director of World Religions. And I thought, wow, like how many governments in the world have such a title?
That's Tanya
And
Berg Rafaeli?
yes, she's amazing.
She is.
Thank you. And so she's going to be speaking and talking about the changes that have come from her view from the Abraham Accords.
But
And she's
what
a
I get
great
to say is,
supporter of that.
but you have to appreciate the fact that this initiative emanates from within, right, Valerie? It's you. I mean, you and Doves and your friends in the organization, and you're pulling in all of these powers and all of these forces from the Knesset and government in the region to bring people together through the power of women.
So we're all part of it. You know, every person that wants to be a part of this mission adds a lot. And together, when we have conversations, we bring out things in each other that we didn't even realize we had.
Right.
And I'm hoping that through these dialogues, because we provide a very safe and secure environment to speak their mind, everyone, can create something new or a new idea, looking at things in a different way.
You know, they say that Passover, Pesach, is a time of renewal and rejuvenation. It's a time for the spring and to start, a new adventure in the book of life. And this is one of the most beautiful episodes I think all of us could be inspired by.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your support. I mean, we've had a lot of support from a lot of people.
Right. And it's I think in this time and age, Valerie, it's important for our viewers, but for everyone else to know and to learn about these important initiatives, because the news cycle is filled with negativity and blockades and building walls between people. And to find those rare individuals who are busy building bridges is what JBS is all about.
Well, thank you for giving us the opportunity. I hope that any of your viewers who are interested in joining our organization.
So let me ask you that. How do people learn more about Doves, about your organization? Where could they find information in the activities you do and in all of the great work?
So we have a website. It's Doves, WMP, womenmakingpeace.com. And we also own .org. But we have information about the speakers online and about the trip. We're doing a 4-day trip with an amazing tour guide, Eve Harrow. And she's phenomenal.
Yeah.
She's very well versed on all 3 religions, and she wants to take us through Israel and show us the parts of all 3 religions, so that we can see the country that we love through someone else's eyes and through their religion and what they love. And I think it's an incredible opportunity.
So people
for
can register for the conference, April 30th to May 1st, and for the trip, like two separate things.
Tour.
Two
Yes.
separate activities.
Yes. And the tour, all the places that we're planning to go around the country is also on the website, so they can get a flavor of what it's about.
And your long-term vision, Valerie?
Peace, of course. I would love to be a part of helping Saudi Arabia to make peace with Israel. And I would love to have the opportunity to bring more Muslims from the Abraham Accord countries to Israel to maybe teach them what they might not have known, or maybe change some of the views that they have at the moment. Because once you get to this country, you see things in a very different light.
You do, right? When you see Israel, you feel Israel, you really get to know what reality is like, so far away from perceptions. By the way, did you grow up a Zionist?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, always.
That's
I think you have it in your neshama.
Yeah, that's true. You really do. It really is part of our soul. You know, you're absolutely right. Thank you so much, Valerie. This has been truly inspirational, just listening to your, vision translated into action, and all the way from Jerusalem, emanating from your personality of who you are to what you do in your business life and professional life to this passion. It's truly an example of how all of us can make a difference.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure. Well, what a great story to get to know of that kind of level of inspiration that exists within us all as individuals. Valerie is a manifestation of inspiration translating into deeds. What a pleasure it was to have Valerie, and a great pleasure to have all of you, our viewers. Thank you for watching and listening to a beautiful lesson of what we can all do to be a part of the peacemaking process, if only we choose to do so. Thank you all for watching. I'd like to thank our director, Sloan Copeland, JBS's managing director, Dara Golob, our technical manager, Michael Paley, transmission manager, John McDevitt, and to our wonderful producer of In the News, Carol Lilienthal. For JBS, I'm Shahar Azani. Until next time, see you soon. Shalom and Leitraot.